Welcome to our website and our practice area page on DUI. I'm so glad that you found us. We want to help everybody that we can, and first and foremost with educating them on what the truth is in these kind of cases, especially DUI, and go over and really kind of break down the barriers between potential client and attorney. So you made a wise decision by coming and finding this and watching this video. Now, if you were or a loved one was recently arrested for DUI, I know it can be very hard and tough. This is what we do. This is what we help people with. Just rest assured that getting information yourself about DUI and the law and the procedure, finding the right lawyer is one of the best things that you can do for yourself or your loved one. So my name's Adam Rossen. I'm the founder and owner of the Rossen Law Firm. We handle criminal and DUI defense cases. And in this video, I want to discuss with you the practice area of DUI, the elements of the crime. We'll give a brief overview about some penalties, and we're going to talk about the procedures and really what the next steps are and how we can help you out through this. So hopefully this information is helpful, and if you ever need us, you can always give us a call. So when we're talking about DUI, I always like to start with really what is a DUI? What does the law say the elements of the crime of DUI is? So the very first element is driving or actual physical control. The second element is under the influence of alcohol, chemical, or controlled substances. So it would be obviously alcohol, it could be illegal drugs, or it could be prescription drugs. The third element is to the extent that your normal faculties are impaired, or that at the time of driving you had a blood or breath alcohol level of 0.08 or above. Those are the four elements of DUI. When we go back, driving, number one. That's easy, you're behind the wheel of the car. But a lot of times it's actually difficult for the prosecutors and the police to put you behind the wheel of a car. It could be a car crash. It could be where you're sleeping in the car and you're sleeping in the back seat or the passenger seat. So there's a lot of issues with actually driving. And the second part of that driving is actual physical control of a vehicle. That's actually more akin to the sleeping in the back seat or passed out in the driver's seat. Just because you're passed out in the driver's seat doesn't mean that you were in actual physical control of that vehicle. Where were the car keys? Was the car on? Was it off? So variety of factors and issues in a case like that. Element number two. Under the influence of alcohol, chemical, or controlled substances. Alcohol is the most common. It's the easiest for the police and the prosecutors to prove because they smell it on your breath. But now that marijuana is becoming decriminalized, these cases have been skyrocketing, and the police are now receiving specialized training in DUI cases, DUI drug cases, whether it's marijuana or other illegal drugs, heroin, cocaine, or prescription medication, Percocet, Vicodin, muscle relaxers. It could be Xanax, right? Any of those prescription medications that would impair you are also illegal to be under the influence of, and those cases we're seeing a tremendous increase in. The third element of the crime of DUI is that they have to prove that your normal faculties are impaired. This is not to the level of being drunk. You don't have to be fall down drunk to be convicted of DUI. The prosecutors just have to prove that your normal faculties have been lowered, and they've been lowered because of the alcohol or the drugs that you've consumed. How do they do this though? And what is the definition of normal faculties? Well, the law actually defines them as seeing, hearing, walking, talking, judging distances, acting in emergencies, driving a car, and performing the many mental and physical tasks of our daily lives. So one of the biggest problems that I have with prosecutors and police officers on these cases is that they confuse average with normal. Your normal faculties are your normal faculties. What's normal for me is normal for me. But the police officers on the side of the road make many assumptions about what a normal person should and should not do, or how they should or should not act. And that's completely wrong because we're all different. We all talk differently, we all walk differently, We all act in emergencies differently. We all have different personalities and handle stressful situations in different ways. And the fourth element is if there's a breath test, the prosecutors have to prove that your blood or breath alcohol level was at 0.08 or above, not an hour or two later, but at the time that you were actually driving. And so those are the four elements of DUI law, and we'll talk in much more detail about the breath test in other videos. DUI has some potentially very serious consequences. As far as jail time goes, it could be no time in jail, up to a year for a misdemeanor DUI. It could be up to 5 years in prison or even 15 years in prison if we're talking felony DUIs, if you've had multiple or if somebody was hurt or injured or dead. You can lose your driver's license for regular misdemeanor DUIs, usually up to 1 year or 5 years. It could be 10 years or longer, depending if it's multiple DUIs or a felony DUI. Fines, fees, court costs. There's DUI school, which you have to pay for. There's counseling and treatment, which you would have to pay for. There could be random urine samples and testing, probation fees. There's a lot of other classes and other things that you would have to take as well. You can have a boot on your car. You can have a breathalyzer installed in your car, not to mention the increased insurance that comes with that as well. So the crime of DUI has a lot of what we call mandatory minimum punishment and penalties. Even a first DUI can be very expensive and can be very devastating for your future. If you need an experienced DUI lawyer, you can always call us. We do strategy sessions, so we don't do the 15-minute phone consultation. We want you to come in. We want to get to know you, build that attorney-client relationship. We go over the police reports. We give you a full case analysis. We talk about defenses, strategy, who's the judge, who's the prosecutor, and really develop how we're going to best represent you immediately from day one. That's all free. We call it a strategy session. Anybody can call us anytime, 754-206-6200.